So you want to be a Buccaneer. So you want to punch enemies so hard that the Lord of the Deep rises from the depths and just helps you, I guess, destroy enemies even further for some reason. Well, then you've come to the right video. So Bucc has gotten somewhat of a revamp. I mean, they're still kind of play the same, but you'll see what I mean. In beginner tab, we see that we can swim faster. We get 24 extra slots in most of our inventory. And our link skill gives all stat, HP, MP, reduces the damage you take, and when you double click on it, it'll change all of your strength stats on your current equips and change them to dex. There it is, you can see the buff is up here. And now the only reason I have 30 strength is because of like symbols and stuff like that. But basically all of my stats are now switched over to dex. Why do they even have this? Well, just in case you want to switch over to Corsair. And the Legion effect is strength. Now then, let's move on to first job. So in first job, you have Somersault Kick, which now has a much greater range. Hits above you, a little bit below you. It's basically matching the hitbox. It does still retain the old kind of like iframe kind of thing, where you can iframe touch damage as well as certain boss attacks. I know for Pink Bean, you can dodge the Tail Slam. You can't dodge Genesis, you can't dodge the Whistle. Oh, you can dodge the Explosion as well. I think for Horntail you can dodge some stuff, and for Von Leon you can dodge some attacks as well. But don't rely on it too much, just this is your first job skill, leave it at that. Double Shot is a gunslinger skill, but you can still use a gun to use the skill. It also mobs now, so if you prefer to use Double Shot for first job, feel free to use it. Pirate Leap. So this is your flash jump. It goes a little bit, I think, higher and farther than the previous flash jump, which was like Octopush. So yeah, that's nice. Don't worry about the vertical jump, that's second job. Dash. So because I'm second job again, I'm gonna get the advanced dash version. But basically when you double tap left or right, you get this like dust kick up when you run, which makes you move a little bit faster. Or I mean, if you don't have any speed at all, it makes you move a lot faster, but you're basically not really gonna care about this too much. If you right click on dash, you can actually lock it so that you can double tap left or right and nothing will happen. Shadow Heart is your passive, increases your crit damage and crit, and then a movement buff passive again. A movement passive, there you go. So, moving on to the second job, we have Static Thumper, which should be Shockwave, but it was called Static Thumper because when Jet came out, they shared this skill with Shockwave, and well, Static Thumper ended up winning in the end in terms of what the name would be, so now it's Static Thumper. It used to be Shockwave, though. But they improved Shockwave quite a bit. And you could tell that now they added voices to Explorers. Ooh, what was that lag? So, yeah, this is basically your new attack. This will be your first fighting skill, as they call it. It's like purple, it says fighting skill on it. That'll become important in a bit. Probably in like third job. Just know that, yeah, purple skill equals fighting skill. Advanced dash. So this dash allows you to be pushed forward when you use dash. You can also put it on a key, which I highly recommend because if you do so, you can actually move in the middle of your animations. So it's not an animation cancel, but it does move you. So it can still be very helpful for mobbing and bossing. I guess I should also talk about the super jump, since that's one of many people's questions. How do you do the super jump? So what you do is you press advanced dash, and then you press jump. However, you need to press them at almost the same time. Like basically the same time, but not exactly the same time. Like don't leave like a if you know frame data, it's basically like 1 to 5 frames by the time you press advanced dash, you need to jump. So always make sure you press advanced dash first and then jump. And if you do so, you get a super jump. Just make sure that you're pressing advanced dash first and then jump, but basically press them at the same time. If you mess up, if you press jump first, you'll get this. If you press it jump too late, you get that. And let me see, what are some other situations that happen? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I can explain also that if you have, if you don't want to have advanced dash on your keyboard for some reason, like you don't like, you know, moving while you attack, which is huge, whatever. Some people like having the space. You can actually just have, you know, double tap left or right if you have first job dash unlocked. So the way that you would time it with this is you would press right, and then right and jump at the same time. So you know how you have to press like right to get a dash? Well, now you have to press right and then right and jump at the same time. So 1, 1, 2. So yeah, that's how you do it. It doesn't go as far as the keybound one. I'll show you an example. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this this letter to reset my position. So keybind is definitely better and more consistent, but you can practice enough to get the super dash with, like, you know, the double tap. Now I know this section was long, but there were so many people asking how to do it that I felt like I should go super in depth on how to do it. So again, you want to press or you want to activate advanced dash and jump at the same time, but make sure that you get advanced dash to come out first. And the keybind actually goes farther than double tapping left or right and then jumping. And yeah, just make sure you're not holding a direction as well. That is something else I forgot to mention. Do not be holding a direction, because you will not go as far. You can still activate it, you just won't go as far, because you need to make sure that you don't have any momentum to go the farthest distance. And of course you can flash jump afterwards, you can vertical jump afterwards. It's really good. Alright, that's enough about advanced dash. Hopefully you guys understand the super dash now. If not, just leave a comment and I guess I can try. I also have a video. I don't know if there's like annotations anymore, probably not. But I can like link it in the description if you want like another explanation on it, because I made a separate video explaining just the super jump. But this I'm going a little more in depth about it, so hopefully that helped. So moving on, we have Dark Clarity, gives you an attack buff, although it's passive. Like the rest of these are basically passive. This one is a toggle though. So yeah, another passive, more passives. Yep, lots of passives. Oh man, healing, great. Vertical jump, you cannot keybind it, by the way. To do the vertical jump, you have to be in the air and then hold up and press jump. This does work even if you fall off of a platform. I know some vertical jumps you have to use jump first and then you can vertical jump. Not with Bucc. I don't know about other classes. Maybe they fixed it for every class. They can do it now. But yeah, that's really nice. As long as you're airborne, you can vertical jump. Vortex jump. Sea serpents. So this is a toggle skill, and you can tell that it's toggled on by this like serpent that appears here, as well as it appears on the top right. And what this does is it unlocks your serpents. And what I mean by that is you cannot summon your serpents like this one unless that toggle is on. So now I'm going to turn the toggle on. There we go. Now the serpent comes out. Keep in mind, in second job, your serpent will not be as long. I'll probably have like a video in the background of me training or something, showing that it's not as far. But yeah. And then on the bottom here, you can see the cooldown is shown by an orange line going around the serpent icon. And then I'm attacking, it's not coming out, because they have to wait for this. Which does get reduced later on. This is a faster version of it because I have all my passives put in, like it's actually the last one, so... because of that, the cooldown is shorter, but while you're training in second job, it won't be that short. Again, I would reset my skill points, but I already bought it today, so I can't reset it again. Okay. So every time you use a fighting skill, a serpent will pop out and do damage. And then Serpent Burst is the skill that you just saw, which is the head that pops out and like goes at a certain distance in front of you. And this is Booster, which is now passive. Moving on to third job. We have Corkscrew Blow. This skill is currently bugged. Hopefully by the time this video is out, it will not be bugged anymore, but currently it is. What I mean by bugged is that it should move you forward, like a dash, or how Spiral Assault used to work. But currently it does not, which is why it hits from so far away. Is because it's supposed to dash you forward and allow you to, you know, you pretty much would end up like right here by the time you use it. So it would look like this, but a lot faster. It would basically look like that. I'm just mimicking it by pressing advanced dash and using it. Yeah. It also has a secondary effect if you use Octopunch, but this effect isn't used all that often. Which is, if you do, Spiral Assault, or sorry, Corkscrew Blow. I can't believe they changed the name. And then do Octopunch and Cork in the direction of the enemy. You'll actually teleport to the... Let me take off my serpent skills. You'll actually teleport to the enemy. Oh, well that time I messed it up, I guess, because you can't teleport through platforms. But let me get rid of this. Go away, Drake. Yeah, go over there. Nope. Okay, you know, I'm gonna do it from this side. So, there you go. You can see that it, like, teleported me over there. You can use this to avoid Lotus's lasers, but I wouldn't really, like, count on it. Instead, use it for, like, animation canceling. Which, by the way, it animation cancels! So, if you're using a skill that has a very long animation, let's take your next skill, your third job mobbing skill, for example. Pretty long animation. I'm holding left, now I'm holding right. So the moment that the skill animation ends, I should be able to run or walk. And you can see it's taking a while. However, if I use Cork in the middle of the animation, you'll actually see that the damage of Turning Kick, which is the mobbing skill, will actually still come out, but the animation won't because I canceled the animation. So, just to make sure that you guys know that Cork does 2 lines, this skill does 4 lines. So here we go. So you can see the 4 lines still came out, but you never saw the animation of Turning Kick. That's because I canceled the animation, which makes it so I can move, you know, sooner. And that's very helpful, especially for later on. Whenever I say Spiral Assault, or Spiral, or Cork, I'm talking about Corkscrew Blow. But yeah, that'll come into play later on. And then I already mentioned it, but this is your new mobbing skill. Kind of like Dual Blade. Very, very Dual Blade. And then you get Greater Serpent, which as again a toggle. It's just a better version of the serpent. It's like stronger and stuff. Very nice. Roll of the dice. Let me actually... You know, I can just show it from the other video. Because I did another recording of this before, but it was way too long. It was like 2 hours of recording, so I was like, let me shorten it. But basically, you roll a dice, and it's random what you get. You only get 1 dice in 3rd job, you get 2 dice in 4th job, and 3 dice in 5th job. So right now, of course, I have the 5th job version. Let me actually show you the new animation by getting rid of this. Go ahead and time leap. Alright, so here's the new animation. Wow, so shiny! So to explain what each dice roll does, 1 does nothing, but if you do get a 1, it cuts the cooldown of dice's, or it cuts the cooldown of dice in half. If you get a 2, you get, no. If you get a 2, you get defense and magic defense. If you get a 3, you get attack. And if you get a 4, you get crit rate. If you get 5, it's damage. And 6 is EXP. I'll probably write it on screen. If I don't write it on screen, then I guess just go back or something. And then, of course, in 4th job, you get 2. And if you get 2 of the same number, they stack. So getting 1 5 on dice... getting 1 5 on dice... Or I guess I'll say 6. If you get a 6 on dice, it gives you 30% EXP. If you get 2 6 on dice, you get 40, and then 50 is 3 dice. 50% EXP. And all of them stack kind of like that. Let's see, more 3rd job. So, okay, Serpent Scale. Let me right-click this so it's not auto. Okay. So, Serpent Scale, every time that you spawn the Serpent skills... Oops. So you can see that I'm gaining a stack. So now it's at 2 stacks. Now it's at 3 stacks. Once you hit 5 stacks, you can enter Assault mode. And again, you can turn this into... I mean, I never explained it, but I'll explain it now. You can go into Assault mode. So let's see, now I'm at 5 stacks. So if you have it on auto, you immediately go into Assault mode. What Assault mode does is it allows you to use Assault skills, such as Serpent Assault. Now, this isn't a button, you don't put this on your keyboard. It activates with a fighting skill. So remember how I said, you know, purple skills are fighting skills? Well, Corkscrew is kind of more pink, but sure, we'll call it purple. This is not a fighting skill. It will say in the description if it's a fighting skill. So this one is. All fighting skills except for Octopunch will activate Serpent Assault to help with your mobbing. So once again, every time that head pops out, you get a stack of Serpent Scales. When you have 5 scales, you can go into Assault mode, which can then activate Assault skills, which are like enhanced Serpent skills. So let me go ahead and go into Assault mode. You can see now I'm glowing a little blue. Next time I use a fighting skill, it'll spawn an Assault skill, which is, again, this. Octopunch activates another Assault skill, but it's a bossing version of it. I'll get into it. Actually, I can get into it now. So, Octopunch, while also a fighting skill, will not activate Serpent Assault. Instead, it'll activate Raging Serpent Assault, which is another Assault skill, but for Octopunch specifically. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to use a Hyper skill real quick, and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. By the way, the skill that I used is used to make the cooldown of the serpents a lot shorter. So it allows me to show you the other assault skills more often. Alright, so now if I enter assault mode, and I use Octopunch, that's not... I forgot I don't have Octopunch on my keyboard right now. Give me another second. Alright, so this time I can show you. Because I do have Octo on the thing. And at the same time, I'll show you what happens when you put it on auto. So if you have it on auto, there it is, shown by the little A. Next time I use Octopunch, I will enter Assault mode. Or any fighting skill, I enter Assault mode. Now if I use Octopunch, it'll spawn this turret, which is supposed to help you with bossing. So even though it's a 4th job skill, I just felt like I should explain that, like how to spawn those. Alright, moving on to the other skills. So this one just lowers your the damage you take. This one is great because it gives a lot of great stats, and also when you're bossing, you get 20% extra crit rate. But the huge buff that Bucc got was Groggy Mastery. So this used to be only working on stunned enemies, but now it works on an enemy hit by an abnormal status. So as long as an enemy is hit by an abnormal status, you can now do 60% extra crit rate. And if you were paying attention to all the other crit bonuses that we get throughout, you know, leveling, we have a base crit rate of 40%, and then this adds 60, which means we have 100% crit rate when bossing. And then because this skill adds another 20%, we actually have 120% crit rate when bossing. Of course, when mobbing, you still need to words. You do still need to have as much crit rate as possible because this does not work on mobbing. Well, I guess it does if you have like a link skill or something that adds a debuff to an enemy. Or if you're like not one-shotting, your second shot will crit. But anyway, it's really, really nice. And that's about it for 3rd job. So now we move on to 4th job. And in 4th job, you get Octopunch, which is your bossing skill, which looks like this. You get Hook Bomber, which is your mobbing skill, looks like that. You get Greater Serpent Spirit, or Greater Sea Serpent, my goodness. I wasn't even reading it, I just thought that it was called that. Which also puts points into these two. Or was it these 3? I can't remember. It puts points into multiple of them. And also makes you have the big version of the serpent that you saw me use, which pretty much goes off screen. It is crazy ranged. And also unlocks the bossing version of the serpent, which is that bite. Now, speaking of that bite, when you activate Octopunch, the serpent will then bite down on an enemy, leaving a mark on them, which then which lets you do 20% final damage to that enemy. So that bite right there. And then once you hit 5 stacks of serpent skills, you can activate Raging Serpent Assault, which is the assault skill for bossing, which you saw earlier, but just in case you didn't, I'll go ahead and show you here. So of course, if you don't have assault mode on, if you don't have it on auto, you do have to enter assault mode. Otherwise, it'll just automatically activate on its own, and there you go. There's the assault raging thing. Nautilus Strike, the passive skill, or the old thing where you had to like use Nautilus and then you get the passive 2 lines, no longer exists. Now it's just passive all the time. So Nautilus Strike has just been turned into a damaging thing. So now you only do it. Now you only use it when you want to do damage to a wide area, which means it's basically never going to be on your keyboard until they make it usable in the air, which I don't think they're ever going to. But yeah, currently I don't really use the skill like ever. Crossbones is a attack buff, percent attack buff. And here's what it looks like. Well, you can't see it because of this thing. Get out of here, event! Whatever. There you go. Next we have a Time Leap, which will just reset the cooldown on skills that can be reset. Does not work on hyper skills or 5th job skills and certain other skills. But definitely works on dice. So here you go. There's dice, and then let's say I wanted to reset it. Bam, now it's reset, so I can use it again. And then there's Speed Infusion, which looks way fancier, as you can see. Which gives you and your party 2 attack speed. However, it still only lasts 180 seconds. I know it says 184, but that's because I have combat orders on right now. It's 180 second duration, while every other Speed Infusion, including Decent Speed Infusion and Thunderbreakers, lasts 300 seconds. So hopefully they increase that one day. But I don't think they even noticed it, and yeah, it has no cooldown, so I guess it's fine. But anyway, Maple Warrior gives you and your party 15% all stat. Hero's Will remove most abnormal statuses from your character. Oh, let me also show Maple Warrior. Although I don't think you guys really care that much about it. So Hero's Will remove an abnormal status from you, as well as make you immune to abnormal status for the next 3 seconds. Double Down gives you 2 die. As you saw when I was using dice earlier, I had 2. There's a 50% chance, unless you have combat orders, then a 60, but a 50% chance to activate 2 die instead of just 1. Remember the skill Pirate's Revenge, where when you took damage, you gained damage? Well, now they split it up. So Defensive Stance is the defensive part of Pirate's Revenge, where when you take damage, there's a 25% chance, it's 27 because of combat orders, there's a 27% chance to reduce the damage you take by 40%, which also works on percent HP attacks. And then the attack part of it, the attack portion that gave you like damage, they moved that to being a lot more active. So what I mean by that is, when using attacking skills, you get a buff. For 10 seconds, that increases your damage by 25%. Just for attacking. So it's basically always going to be up, versus Pirate's Revenge, where you had to take damage in order to activate that. So yeah, I'm really glad they changed this. Very nice. And then Typhoon Crush, instead of it, the way that it used to work was you ignore all enemy defense at a 40% chance. But now, instead of ignoring all enemy defense, it's a flat IED increase. IED standing for ignore enemy defense. It's a static, or it's a percent. It's a 40% increase to your IED. And then it also gives final damage and attack, which is a huge buff. Love it. Way more consistent as well. And that's it for 4th job. So now moving on to hypers. We have the Double Down hypers. This one's Saving Grace, which at a 40% chance, if Double Down doesn't activate, then the cooldown won't you won't have a cooldown on it, so you can just roll your dice again. If that happens though, the next time that you use Double Down, it has a higher percent chance to roll a 4 or above. And then we have Double Down Addition, which gives you a 7 on your dice. And all 7 does is, when you roll a 7, it gives you IED, ignore enemy defense. Double Down Enhance is the one that most Bucks use, which it increases the chance of rolling a 4, 5, or 6 on your dice rolls. And then we have Octopunch increasing the damage, Octopunch increasing the boss damage, Octopunch increasing the line by 1. Hook Bomber increasing the damage, increasing the mob count, you can hit 2 more enemies, and you can also increase the lines by 1. So, when mobbing, I'm going to talk about the 3 down here first, before I go into dice. So when you're mainly mobbing, not really bossing all that much, do damage and lines to Octopunch, and then damage and line to Hook Bomber. And then the last one goes on dice. However, later on when you're like, your Hook Bomber's already one-shotting everything, you don't have to give it any extra damage or anything like that. Well, in that case, why not just add extra boss damage on your Octopunch? So you do all 3 Octo, and then you do 1 line on a Hook Bomber, and your last point will either be on Saving Grace or Enhance. It's up to you whichever one you want to choose. I personally like Saving Grace, because even though this one does increase your chance of rolling 4, 5, or 6, and then you can always use Time Leap to reset the cooldown, why not just have it reset its cooldown on its own, and if you don't like what you get, you can time leap it and then try again, which will also still activate Saving Grace again. So I feel like having more rolls to try and get what you want is better. Plus, if it does fail, then you have a higher chance of getting a 4, 5, or 6 anyway, so it's like, you know, it's basically enhance, but better to me, personally. But I know a lot of Bucks use enhance. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get Saving Grace to activate. You can see the cooldown down here. It did not activate. Alright, I'm going to time leap. Didn't activate again. Well, yeah. Guess I can't show that off. But basically, if you don't get 2 dice to activate, then there's a 40% chance that it won't have a cooldown. And then when you do get double dice, the dice will have a higher chance of being 4, 5, or 6. So again, it's up to you which one you want to choose, but I like my choice. Active hyper skills. So we have at 140 you get Stimulating Conversation, and this will increase your damage by 20% and reduce the cooldown of all of your serpent skills by 50%, including Lord of the Deep, which I will get into Lord of the Deep's cooldown later. So if you look at the cooldown of the serpent right here, so you can see the orange line going around. Pretty long cooldown, I must say. It's not that long, but it's like, you know, kind of long. However, when you activate Stimulating Conversation, it's a lot faster. Which means this is amazing for burst, because you get your assault skills a lot faster. So it's amazing burst skill. Cooldown is 180 seconds. Serpent Spirit. Let me mention the cooldown and duration first. So the cooldown is 60 seconds, but the buff lasts for 90 seconds. This won't really help you in This won't help you in mobbing. Main reason is because you have to activate the bite from Octopunch, or the serpent that spawns with Octopunch, in order to mark the enemy. And then you start getting the stacks. But to talk about the stacks, each stack that you get will give you 5% crit damage. So, as you can see, you can't really mark enemies unless you're using Octopunch. To show that off, let me actually go to Balrog. So, here's Balrog. I have the buff active. As you can see, there is no mark here. However, if I use Octopunch, now he has the mark. And as long as the enemy is abnormal status, remember that you also have a 100% crit rate. But if the enemy is marked and then you hit them with any skill, as long as you're doing damage to the enemy. In fact, I think I could even use basic attack. Oh, sorry, I have to mark him again. Yep, even basic attack. So you can see I'm actually getting stacks of the buff right over here. Or I guess you could also look down here. So no matter, as long as you're damaging the enemy, and they have that mark on them. As long as you're damaging the enemy and they have that mark on them, you will get the crit damage. Just remember to use the buff every, like, 89 seconds, because it does run out in 90 seconds. I still cast it every time it's off cooldown, but you have 30 seconds extra before it runs out. So I guess we can move on to 5th job now. Oh, you know, while we're on hypers, let me talk about hyper stats, because a lot of people ask questions about these. The reason that people don't really have like a static guide for hyper stats is because they're kind of like they're based on where you are in the game at the moment. So some people might need more IED, like I did. I don't need it anymore, but or crit rate and so on. So it's really based on like what you need. But my general rule, like what I do for every single class, is usually damage, crit rate, crit damage, boss damage, ignore enemy defense. That's for like bossing. For training, what I usually do is damage, crit rate, crit damage, EXP, normal monster damage. And I'm saying these all in order, but of course, you don't really have to do it in that order. Of course, EXP is great. I just don't like the amount that they give. I think it's like 10% at 10 and then 15% at... No, 5% at 10 and 10 EXP at or 10% at 15. Which I think is a lot of points to be spending in for that small amount. Normal monster damage is great, amazing. But yeah, damage is everything. Like, damage helps you when you're mobbing, you're bossing, yeah. And then this, of course, only helps with boss damage. Crit damage is only helpful if you have high crit rate. And then crit rate is only good if you're under 100% crit rate, which is most classes. And yeah. Of course, if you're new to 5th job, you're going to need something called Arcane Force. And I do recommend putting into Arcane Force if you're like starting out in the Arcane River area, because you will need it, especially if you're not in a guild. Alright, and I think that's all I really wanted to say here. Oh, by the way, don't do these 4 stats. They are not as helpful as you think. The only reason I have points into them is because I had extra points, and I was like, okay, let me just put this in here. I'm actually going to have to redo my hyperstats because I don't need crit rate anymore. So I'm definitely going to have to redo that. Actually, before we move on to 5th job, I actually forgot to mention, or maybe I did mention it, that Spiral Assault is broken. I'm sorry, Corkscrew Blow is broken, so it doesn't move you. Not only that, but when you're fighting a boss that does an earthquake attack, or some kind of, like, attack that hits the ground and kills you, like Von Bon, which is this guy over here, this chicken, or Slime, where he jumps in the air and slams on the ground, you can actually use Spiral Corkscrew Blow to dodge it. But you can't do that now because the skill is bugged. But when it becomes a rush skill again, you can use that to dodge it. Unless they got rid of that property, but I won't know until they fix it. Alright, so yeah, 5th job. So we have Lightning Form, which used to be Meltdown. Let me go ahead and use it. This gives you final damage, allows you to teleport left, right, up, or down. Keep in mind you can only do it like once in each direction before hitting the ground. So like if I go left, I can't go right before hitting the ground. If I go up, I can't go down before hitting the ground. So yeah. But you can do two of those directions in the air. Not only that, but you also get an iframe. So each of these orbs give you a 1 second iframe. But if you want to use it defensively, you have to spread out the times that you use the orbs. You get 3 orbs. Each of them gives you 1 second of an iframe. If you spam them, though, that's for burst, and it doesn't give you as long iframes, because it doesn't, like, add on to the duration of the iframe. It just, like, cancels the iframe that was currently on, and then restarts a new one. So here you go. So you can see that the animation was being cancelled out. If that orb comes into contact with an enemy, it will slow down, which is amazing for damage. Next, we have, let's do Howling. So Howling Fist. This skill has a serpent, like, cover your character. It opens its mouth, charging like a ball, and then it closes its mouth. Once the mouth is closed, you get an iframe. If the mouth is open, you can still take damage, you're still in danger. However, they now added a new ability, where if you press Howling Fist again, it'll instantly close the mouth and give you the iframe. While the damaging part of the skill is when the mouth is closed, it is still better damage to let the whole thing go through, like let the whole mouth stay open and then close on its own. But if you're in, like, real danger, like something's about to hit you and you're about to die or something, you can press it again to close the mouth instantly. And the iframe was right there. I forgot to hover over it, but yeah, that was the iframe up there. Cooldown is 90 seconds. Oh, by the way, Lightning Form and Serpent Spirit, or Stimulating Conversation, both have the same cooldown of 180 seconds. So you can kind of use both at the same time to really maximize your burst. Howling Fist, however, has a 90-second cooldown. Serpent Vortex has 6 charges. You get 1 charge every 8 seconds. And they added a new ability, which is if you don't press a single direction, like you're not holding a direction, you can actually use it in place. This is also part of your burst, because it does a lot of damage. Aside from that, because you can now use it in place, you can actually stall in the air with it. Just like that. However, if you do want to still move with it, you just hold a direction while using it. So, this is me holding up, this is me holding right, this is me holding down. So yeah. Very good skill. Also, again, it does a lot of damage. Lord of the Deep, the skill that all of you want me to talk about because you're all so confused, like, is Lord of the Deep still here? Is it still good? Does it have 100% uptime? Ha yes! Yes, it does. So, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it while I leave it up. Oh, hold on, before I do that, let me change my quick slot so you can actually see the cooldown. So, they did give it a 60-second cooldown. However, as you can see, when I press it again, it's off cooldown. And if you let it go, like without hitting anything, without doing anything, it will just keep recasting itself. And I'll explain exactly why it does that. So I'll just leave the cooldown down here for you guys to look at. So, Lord of the Deep has to go through 100 hits, which means 300 lines because each hit does 3 hits. Does that make sense? Every time you hit an enemy with it, it does 3 lines. Okay. So it has to do 100 hits, which means 300 lines. So that is like the condition bar. That is like... How do I even say this? It's kind of difficult to explain, but it's not. I'm making it more complicated. Okay, let me calm down. Okay. So if Lord of the Deep... Actually, okay, I'll explain it first. And then... Oh my god. Okay. Lord of the Deep. Oh yeah, here's the cooldown, by the way. So I'm not going to touch it, I'm not going to activate it, I'm not going to deactivate it, I'm just... see, it's still going, my hands are off my keyboard. You can't see it, but my hands are off my keyboard. And then suddenly, there you go. It never decasted, it just went right back on cooldown. I didn't have to do anything. So I'm going to decast it now. So, again, 60-second cooldown, but the way that you have it up 100% of the time is when you're mobbing, as long as you kill, every time you kill 40 enemies, the cooldown gets reduced by 10 seconds. Or if you attack a boss, it will pretty much always stay up. So when bossing, it's 100% uptime, pretty much. And when mobbing, you have to make sure that you're killing at least 40 enemies to reduce the cooldown. Because if the cooldown reaches 0 before Lord of the Deep does 100 hits, then the cooldown will refresh, just like you saw it do just now. And when you're attacking a boss, it basically just stays up the whole time, so you don't have to worry about that. Because as long as you're hitting a boss, it'll just stay up. Excuse me. Now, let's say that you don't meet the requirement. Well, in that case, you do get a cooldown. Oh, let me put back on my other pet. So in that case, you do get a cooldown. Like, if you're not very strong, and you're not killing 40 enemies, look at the cooldown here. So, there we go. So you can definitely tell that I'm not going to be able to kill 40 enemies because I'm not doing enough damage. So the cooldown won't be low enough, like it won't be 0 by the time there's 100 hits that activate, just like there. So now it's on a 30-second cooldown because I couldn't kill 40 enemies before 100 hits happened. So yeah, as long as you're killing enemies, it will be 100% uptime. Again, the cooldown is still pretty short though, because it takes 30 seconds for Lord of the Deep to even like about 30 seconds for it to hit 100 times. So either way, you're gonna have like a 30-second cooldown, unless you end the cooldown too early. Like you activate this, you toggle it off yourself, and then it'll probably be pretty long. Now, the reason that over here you can see that like I can just take it off whenever, that's because, and I have to read this part like on the skill itself because I don't like, I didn't memorize this part, but let's see. So when the skill ends, reduces the cooldown by 6 seconds for every 10 remaining number of attacks. So that's why I can just turn it on and off in town. Because technically it hasn't hit anything, so it still has to go through 100 hits, or it hasn't gone through any hits yet. So it refunds me back all of that cooldown. Now, if I go out here, hit some enemies, you know, wow, oh, it's so great. And then I end it, you can see it still had a cooldown, but it was pretty short. Now that I had a lot more hits left, the cooldown was a little bit longer. So yeah, just don't deactivate Lord of the Deep and you'll be fine. Hopefully that answered your question about that. Okay, so in short, activate Lord of the Deep, make sure you're actually doing something or not hitting anything with Lord of the Deep, and it'll be up 100% of the time. If you're bossing, it's 100% up all the time. And yeah, now I can move on to boost nodes. So for your bossing boost nodes, you want Octopunch, Serpent Rage, and Nautilus Strike. Why Nautilus Strike, you may ask? No, it's not because we want to boost this damage. I don't have my knuckle equipped. No, it is not because we want to boost this damage. It's because we want to boost the 2 extra hits that happened from just passively having points added into it. So yeah, it has a 100% chance to activate 2 extra hits. That is what we're boosting, not the actual skill itself. Or not the, you know, explosion or whatever. So yeah, for your mobbing boost nodes, you want to have Corkscrew Blow, Serpent Burst, and Hook Bomber. Now, why are we boosting not Hook Bomber. Why are we bursting Corkscrew Blow? Well, because there's no other skills that we really want to use, ever. Like, there's no other skill to put on the boost node, really. Aside from that, you can also use Corkscrew Blow to cancel animations. So you might as well get damage while you're doing that. Again, the skill is supposed to move you, so it's also used for that. Let me see, what's a long animation? Let me wait for Nautilus again. So, sure, you could use this to move, right? But it doesn't cancel animations. Like, this doesn't cancel animations. It just makes it so you can move while in the animation. Corkscrew Blow actually cancels the animation, though. Just like that, so now I can move. Now, if I do that with, Advanced Dash, I'm still stuck in animation, but I can at least move. Also, you can cancel the second part of this, so you can move afterwards, while you're still in the iframe. Or else you're basically just stuck still, like, with your fist forward, and yeah. So that's why we boost it, it's just to get the extra damage while using it. So once again, I'm going to go over it real quick. So, Octopunch, Nautilus Strike, Serpent Rage for your bossing, and then Hook Bomber, Corkscrew, and Serpent Burst for your mobbing. I guess I could go over the passives. So Flag, when you put it down, it will give you and any party members that are within the flag area 20 or some percent all stat, and any enemies in the area reduces their defense. Overdrive gives you damage based on the base attack of your current equipped knuckle. And then after a certain amount of time, like when it's on cooldown, it lowers your damage. However, the amount that it lowers your damage isn't good enough to like not use this skill. Like, it's so minuscule, you might as well just have this skill when you're bossing. It's not like a priority to max or anything, but it is still pretty good. And is that all of our... Well, I guess technically Maple Goddess, but it just increases the effect of Maple Warrior and gives you extra damage. Alright, so that's it for that. Oh, my goodness, I forgot about loaded dice. So loaded dice. When you have loaded dice equipped or on, it becomes its own skill. You have to put this skill somewhere on your keyboard. Just like that. Once you do, and you press that button, you get a choice of what dice that you want to activate. Normally do 5 or 6. 6 of course being EXP, so when you're training. 5 being for bossing, because it gives % damage. And now you have 3 die. The top one is the one that you chose, and the other 2 are still going to be random. It actually still does not have a fancy animation, just like regular Double Down, but loaded, you still get the effects. But yeah, it doesn't have the fancy animation. And I guess that's it. Now, let me go to the Bucc Discord real quick to find out the order that you would like to max things. Alright, so the order that you max things if you're mobbing, like if you're focused more on mobbing, is Lord of the Deep, HS, your, what do you call it? Your mobbing trio, as in these 2. And then Lightning Form, which used to be Meltdown. So that is the order that is prioritized. And then everything else comes later, I guess. You just do them whenever. And then there's one for bossing, which is Lord of the Deep first, then your bossing tri-node, Lightning Form, Howling, then Urda Nova down here. Let's see, what else? Then Serpent Vortex, and then your mobbing tri-node, then Goddess's Blessing, which is this. Overdrive, the banner or loaded dice, I guess it's preference. Holy Symbol, you know, for that extra drop rate. Link, because if you guys didn't know, not only does it teleport you on the ground if you're... not only does it teleport you if you're grounded, but if you're in the air, it actually makes you hover, and you can, like, move around with it. Doesn't move you very fast, but that can really help you out in certain boss fights. And then your decent skills and rope lift should be last. And, yeah. That is about it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, if you want to super dash, press advanced dash and jump at the same time. Or double tap left and right, but on the second time that you tap left or right, you press jump at the same time. So it should look like this. And yeah, have fun playing Bucc. I know a lot of people are really enjoying Bucc right now. It is amazing. It is very fun. I guess I can try linking... I have a video explaining exactly how to do the super jump. I mean, I did explain it earlier in the early in this video, but I feel like I should put it here as well, just in case people skip to the end of the video. So I guess I'll show some mobbing and bossing, and that'll probably be the end. I do want to mention that I do also stream on YouTube. I don't stream on YouTube. I also stream on Twitch. That's mainly where I do my things. As you've seen from my recent videos, I just like brought some stuff over from Twitch and put it on YouTube. And yeah, if you want to see more Bucc content, or I also second main Bishop, you can definitely check that out. But yeah, I guess I'll just show some bossing now. And mobbing, I guess. And yes, that was normal mode. So yeah, if you want to see the hard mode bosses, or hard mode versions of these fights, definitely check out my stream. My boss usually on like Thursday or sometimes Saturday, maybe Sunday. You know, I can still hear Lord of the Deep. I don't know if you guys can, but... oh, man. Why is it a continuous sound? I mean, I get why, because it's a continuous skill. Waiting for him to go in the air. Okay, so this attack, you can actually just bind him if he's up there, and it'll cancel that attack out. Even if there's orbs out. A lot of people don't know that. Main reason I'm not doing hard mode is because I don't want to get rid of my Pendant of Spirit, because I'm going to go training after this. You know, I'll do hard mode. I'm not going to be at my strongest, but it's fine. I'll just show you guys what, you know, the new burst looks like, I guess. Alright, and there's 1 HP bar. Goodness, this class is loud! And that's where Blink comes in handy, by the way. I think that's enough bossing, though. Ah, yes. So once again, I do stream on Twitch pretty much every day or every other day, depends if I'm like editing a video or not. Like I should be streaming right now, but of course I'm making this video, so I can't do both at the same time. Then I also have to edit it, but I might edit it when I'm done streaming. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, that was Bucc. Feel free to follow me over on Twitch, my Twitter, subscribe. I'm always bad at doing self-promotions. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me be a little more energetic about it. All right, here we go. Hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to leave a comment below. Follow me on Twitch and other social medias. Actually, I only have Twitch and Twitter, so I guess that's the only other two aside from YouTube. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Goodbye! What if I wasn't recording that whole time and I made that whole video for like 2 hours of recording for nothing?